Do you know that a single engine of the SLS rocket is more expensive than a full Starship and Superheavy stack? And do you know that those engines were already built and flew several times with the Space Shuttle? Yes, you heard that right, it costs more money to adapt just one engine than to build a full rocket with 39 engines in total. The cost of one SLS, not including development, is about $2 billion for each rocket, from which $100 million are for each one of the 4 main engines, while the whole Starship should cost about $90 million, even if expanded. And then you need to hear Mike Griffin saying that the Artemis missions are not sustainable because of Starship and SpaceX, not because they are spending $2 freaking billion each launch just on a single and expendable rocket. A rocket that was supposed to be cheap, as it was made from parts that already existed. Am I the only one that hears that and thinks that it makes no sense? Does everyone at NASA and at the US Congress lack basic arithmetic skills? Or are they all bought by the old space contractors to milk the taxpayer money? Is there someone that really thinks that Boeing and Lockheed Martin make good use of the money they receive? Or is it just something that we have already accepted as a necessary evil? Do they really hate SpaceX? Or is it just that they are exposing all the waste of money that politicians make? Let's see it. In December 2006, Boeing and Lockheed Martin joined forces to create United Launch Alliance. Each one provided a rocket, the Atlas V and the Delta IV Heavy, and in this way, they didn't need to fight anymore for the same defense and NASA contracts. So instead of having to compete between them, they could focus on providing a good and reliable service to the US government and to the commercial sector, doing it in a way that reduced cost and allowed everyone to take advantage of such a powerful company. The good news is that they were reliable. They have never lost a rocket, and this is not an easy task, but the other part of the deal was not that good, as the cost of launching with them were so high that only the government was able to do it, but no commercial company was going to pay that much. Instead, they opted to go to Europe, Japan or Russia to look for more affordable rides to space. Who would have thought that having a monopoly, a real one, as no one else was able to compete for these huge contracts, was going to make things more expensive? Who would have thought that when you have no incentive to lower your cost and to provide a better service, everything gets worse? Probably some concerned citizens thought about it, but the politicians that would benefit from such a waste of money were not. Why should they be? It's not as if they were putting the money from their own pockets or anything like that. And they will probably end up working at these companies if they were good boys during their mandates. Everything was perfect. The naive taxpayer paying the expensive bills, the politicians taking credit for them, and the ULA monopoly also happy as they were going to be paid a lot of money, like a fairy tale. But then, a monster appeared. The beast that was going to break everything apart and to expose all this joke. SpaceX. Everything started with the COTS program, the new way that NASA had to fund services that they needed, as instead of paying all the extra cost and ensuring some benefits for the companies that developed the spacecraft, they would just pay a fixed amount and the companies would need to put the rest if it was needed. That was heavily criticized by the old space companies like Boeing and Lockheed. Also from the government, and even Neil Armstrong and Gene Cernan made a statement against this type of contracts and against the possibility that commercial companies were in charge of the development of these machines. That statement had Elon Musk tearing up a bit, as he witnessed some of his childhood idols rooting against him and claiming that trusting SpaceX would be a huge mistake. And they were wrong. Trusting SpaceX was the best idea anyone at NASA has had in a long time, but they were not being honest with themselves, and instead, they were defending the lobbies that feed them. It is a shame that they couldn't see this new age of commercial space as it is now, as I'm sure that they would have loved all these new possibilities and the new interest that it has created. But why? Why were all of these against this type of contracts? Aren't they worried about efficient spending and being able to do the maximum with a given budget? Don't they want to deliver the best products at the lowest cost and to be able to do the most incredible things? Maybe they were some time ago, when they were developing the first rockets and capsules, and they were sending people to the moon for the first time, but it's been a long time since the main objective was doing science and improving our technologies. The current goals are to make as much money as possible, with the less effort, and to ensure that no one will take that from you. That's why they love the cost-plus contracts. When it didn't matter how many years late you were to the project, it didn't matter how much money you spent, as NASA was going to pay everything. With this type of contracts, the incentive were to be as low as possible and to make things as complicated as one could. That's how we ended up paying $100 million to refurbish one engine for the SLS rocket. $100 million. The whole Starship stack will cost about $90 million, less than a single engine and 20 times less than the entire SLS rocket. That's why Boeing, Lockheed, Northrop hate SpaceX. That's why most of the government hates SpaceX, because it shows everyone how things should be done, how efficient one can be, how much progress one can make when you have the right incentive and the right purpose. It makes clear how inefficient politicians are and how much money is wasted on bureaucracy, pointless agencies and useless people. It shows everyone what could we do if they weren't parasitizing everything they can. As always, take care and learn more.